one key. It's playing up. I have an idea. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yashoda Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yashoda Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachare Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thanks, man. Today we are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter number 5, Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu, text 31. This is a very famous, well-quoted verse from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. Nate vidu svartha gatim hi Vishnum Durashaya ye bahirartha manina Andayathandir upaniyamanas Te pitantraya murudamni badha Nate vidu svartha gatim hi Vishnum Durashaya ye bahirartha manina Andayathandhair upaniyamanas Te pishatantraya murudamni badha Nate vidu svartha gatim hi Vishnum Durashaya ye bahirartha manina Andayathandair upaniyamanas Te pishatantraya murudamni badha Vaishnavis. Te vidu svartha gatim hi Vishnum Durashayaye bahirarthamanina Andayuthande rupaniyamanas Te pishitantra murudam nibadha Na, not Te, they, vidhu, no Sva artha gatim, the ultimate goal of life, or their own real interest. He, indeed, Vishnum, Lord Vishnu, and his abode. Durashaya, being ambitious to enjoy this material world. Ye, who, Bahi, external sense objects. Artha manina, considering as valuable. Andha, persons who are blind. Yatha, just as. Andhaye, by other blind men. Upaniyamana, being led. Te, they. Api, although. Isha tantrayam, to the ropes, laws of material nature. Uru, having very strong. Damni, cords. Badha, bound. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects, cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Purport. Since there must always be a difference of opinion between demons and devotees, Hiranyakashipu, when criticized by his son Prahlad Maharaj, should not have been surprised that Prahlad Maharaj differed from his way of life. Nonetheless, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and wanted to rebuke his son for deriding his teacher or spiritual master, who had been born in the Brahmin family of the great Acharya, Śrīmad. The word Shukra means semen, and Acharya refers to a teacher or guru. Hereditary gurus or spiritual masters have been accepted everywhere since time immemorial. But Prahlad Maharaj declined to accept such a seminal guru or take instruction from him. An actual guru is Shrotriya, one who has heard or received perfect knowledge through parampara, the disciplic succession. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj did not recognize a seminal spiritual master. Such spiritual masters are not at all interested in Vishnu. Indeed, they are hopeful of material success, bahir artha manina. The word bahi means external. Artha means interest, and manina means taking very seriously. Generally speaking, practically everyone is unaware of the spiritual world. The knowledge of the materialist is restricted within the 4 billion mile limit of this material world, which is in the dark portion of the creation. They do not know that beyond the material world is the spiritual world. Unless one is a devotee of the Lord, one cannot understand the existence of the spiritual world. Gurus, teachers, who are simply interested in this material world, are described in this verse as andha, blind. Such blind men may lead many other followers without true knowledge of material conditions. But they are not accepted by devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. Such blind teachers, being interested in the external material world, are always bound by the strong ropes of material nature. Translation again. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home, back to Godhead, and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunundamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. In life, everyone accepts a leader, whether they accept it or not. So yeah, we're talking about everyone has a leader in life. Everyone is following someone. Even people say, I don't follow anyone, but they follow their rock stars or movie stars, put a poster in their house, worship them. And Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita mentions that there's three natural leaders in society. One is your parents, your father, the teacher, or the guru in various subjects, and then the executive head. So these are leaders in society. And the job of the leader is to lead someone, is to lead their subjects somewhere, right? Otherwise, they're not a leader. So Bhagavatam is saying, choose your leader very wisely. One leader will take you in the ditch of Maya, will take you further in the ditch of Maya, they're already there, and the other will take you out of the ditch of material nature to the spiritual world. So, who is our leader in ISKCON? Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is our leader because he's come to take us out of Maya. Because we are in material consciousness. By being in the material world, every living entity in this world is in material consciousness, thinking, I am this body, I am separate from Krishna, I'm totally independent, and I can fulfill myself in my own independent ways. So with this consciousness, all living entities are in the material world, in all species of life. So, a true leader like Srila Prabhupada has come to rescue us from the strong cords of material, of Maya, basically. So, such is a real person we need to follow. And but if we follow the mundane leader, then we are pretty much doomed. So yes, we have to accept different people. We have to accept different teachers in life, depending on what we are trying to achieve, right? But the fatal mistake is to accept karmis is to accept their mindset. If we accept their mindset, then that is a fatal flaw. But we might have to accept different teachers in life. So if you want to progress in your career, you won't come to me, right? I probably can't help you with that, depending on what you're doing. So you have to go to someone who knows their stuff. And they will teach you how to advance in that field. If you're trying to be a sportsman, you have to go to a sports guru. They will teach you. But if you accept their thinking of life, then that is a fatal mistake. So we have to accept different leaders at different points in our life. But if we accept their way of thinking, which is, I am this body and I can be happy on my own, I don't need God, and we'll figure everything out ourselves, then that is a fatal mistake. And then we are basically doomed. So the three types of leaders I mentioned, especially the executive head, the executive head is meant to be our Rajarshi, like Parikshit Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj. They are Rajarshis, a Raja, Rishi. The king is a Rishi, a saintly king. So an executive head is needed in society, because as Krishna says, Yad Yad Acharati Shreshtas Tad Tad Evataro Janaha. That every man follows a leader, and they will repeat what they're doing. So what the leaders do, whether it is Bollywood or Hollywood or the executive head of state, people follow that in due course of time. And such people in such powerful positions are meant to be devotees. They are meant to show people the example of how to practically be a devotee and make their life successful. But they simply teach people how to be more engrossed in this body. So such leaders are, as mentioned here, there's andha yathan there upaniyamanas, right? So that's being a blind man being led by another blind man. So the problem we have is, at least a blind man knows he's blind, right? He needs some help. He needs to follow somebody who's not blind. And you hope he would follow someone who's not blind. So if a blind man has to cross the road, he has to, of course he can have his cane, but to cross the road he'll probably need some assistance, either from a person or a guide dog. We see sometimes people who are blind, they have a guide dog. You might have seen it, right? So the dog has vision, and the dog is trained. So because the dog has vision and trained, the dog can lead the blind person to their destination. But if this blind person takes shelter of a blind dog, just imagine now the dog is blind, or the person is blind, then they have to cross the road. It's just going to be total chaos. Chaos, and there's imminent danger. It's a very dangerous situation. Then it's just a matter of chance. By luck, he might cross the road, or by bad luck, most likely he'll be run over by some car. So that is our situation. So in our situation, we don't even realize we are blind. At least the blind man knows he's blind and he needs some help. But in material consciousness, the person in Maya doesn't even understand that they are materially blind. That's the problem. So we are dealing with people, and maybe even ourselves, if it wasn't for the mercy of devotees, we didn't even realize that we have a problem. We have a huge problem. So it is the mercy of devotees who are the enlightened persons who showed us that first we have a problem. So first the blind man has to accept he's blind, and then they need to accept some help. So if we accept a material leader, if we accept their thinking, then their mindset is basically, I am this body. They all are thinking, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm an engineer. And if we accept their thinking, we will also think we are an Australian, we are a man, a woman. They will simply reinforce our material way of thinking. If we already have this, they will reinforce it further. That I'm an engineer, I'm an Australian, and this person is my enemy. Now the other side is my enemy. So we begin to accept various upadhis when we accept a blind leader. And as in the Bhagavatam, this famous verse in the 10th canto, 84th chapter, Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke swadhi kalatra dishu bhauma ijjadhi yatirtha buddhi shalile nakarhichid janeshva abhigeshu sa eva gokhara. So this is the mindset of a materialistic person, and more so even of a materialistic leader. Right? Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke. That such a leader will identify with their body, which is made of mucus, bile, air, and different various elements. So they identify with the body, and then they consider the byproducts of their body, their family, their children, extended family, as extensions of themselves, and as permanently their own, as the translation says of this verse. So they consider basically in terms of I and mine. So the personal selfishness expands to extended selfishness. Thank you. This one, enough juice? Hopefully. And then such a person accepts as the land of his birth as worshipable. Right? Says the image or the land of his birth is worshipable. So a person in material consciousness thinks in terms of the body, and then they also think in terms of extensions, where they're born. So they have a very strong identification with their place of birth. And we can see when we all have that. I'm from India, I'm from Europe. If someone says something bad about your country, though you're a devotee, sometimes we get offended. So we can see, and we also get entangled in politics of our nation. We can see that the attachment to the place of birth is very strong. And we consider the land to be as to be worshipable. Bharat Mata, right? And then it says, or who sees a place of pilgrimage as merely water there. So these days most leaders they're not even that elevated. They're not even bothered about a place of pilgrimage. For them a place of pilgrimage is the MCG. MCG or Rod Laver Arena. Everyone comes there and they have a yagya, a football yagya. Or a different, they have a yagya and they're playing games. They're watching the yagya. So most leaders are not interested in place of pilgrimage. Or even if they are, like you go to Rome, some Makkah, it's simply if there's a river there, to take a bath in the river or the sacred water, or to go to some holy site without associating with the sadhus who are there, if any sadhus are left. So if there's any genuine sadhus left, there's no idea of actually going to the sadhu and hearing from them. Because the job of a sadhu is to the purpose of a place of pilgrimage, and a place of pilgrimage is wherever the glories of the Lord are being discussed, like here. So the ISKCON Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir is a place of pilgrimage because the sadhu Srila Prabhupada, he descended here, he set his lotus feet, he established deity worship, very beautiful deity worship, and service to their lordships, as well as the preaching of the Maha Mantra and the glorification of the Lord. So such a place is a place of worship, is a place of pilgrimage. And coming to such places, one associates with devotees and hears from them. So materialistic leaders, even if they promote a place of worship, it's just simply to go there and get some blessings Bahir Artha Manina, right? They're simply interested in the Bahir, in the external. So there's the Bahiranga Shakti, and then there's the Antaranga Shakti, right? So they're simply interested in the Bahiranga Shakti, the external energy of the Lord. And everything they will do is to that effect. And the result of such such mindset is they are simply just chewing the chewed, as Prahlad Maharaj talks in the previous verse. That because of the uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress towards hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. So such a leader basically teaches people how to just repeat the same old. There's nothing new. It's just a rerun movie, as my spiritual master says. So they will just teach people, okay, we did this in this way, by war we'll get peace, by manipulation. It's just the same old thing. It's been happening since time immemorial. And it's just a slightly different flavor of it, based on the current context. So they're just teaching people the same old, and or they just, which is the same old is have an education, grow up, have an education, have a family, settle down, create some nice material circumstances, comfortable circumstances, look after your children, and leave them an inheritance, and then die happily. This is basically their mantra. And this mantra is just being repeated over and over again. And everyone is doing the same thing. And the result is they're simply associating with the three modes of material nature. As Krishna says in the 13th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Purusha prakriti stohi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Right? The living entity in material nature this follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. So in this way, we are going in material life and we are simply associating with the three modes of nature. We are just tasting different flavors of the same thing in different bodies, in different species, which are governed by the three modes of nature. And we are struggling. Mamayavamsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana, right? Manashastani indriyani prakriti karshati. So we are struggling very hard with the six senses, the chief of which is the mind. So in this way, the result of following material leaders is just this struggle and suffering. And the problems of life are simply increasing. They don't even realize what the problems of life are. They're simply engaged in solving the symptoms. Not sure if you have, sometimes I've worked on many projects where everyone is working, but no one understands what the problem is. Including the person who initiated the project. And there's total confusion. And what they actually end up doing most of the time is they're simply solving the symptoms of the problem. And then when the project is finished, then they realize that actually this wasn't the problem, that's the problem. And we need to start another project for that. So this is material life. The material leaders, they think they know the problems, but they actually don't understand what the real problems are. They think the problem is, this person is my enemy, when we don't have, cost of living is high, or this and that. They're just trying to solve crime, drugs, so many problems. But they don't understand the underlying problem is our disconnect from Krishna, is not connecting to Krishna. That's a real problem. And birth, death, old age, disease. These are the four problems. They don't understand. They just say, that's just the way of life, Birth, death, old age, disease. There's nothing you can do about it. We're trying to do something about it, but we just have to accept it and go about in your life. That's just life. But they don't understand that these are real problems, and then how to solve them is by reviving our relationship with God. So such leaders are basically fools. And they're not worshipable. They just do a few good things and everyone gets enamored by them. Like, remove some railway crossings, dig a tunnel, and they're just trying to solve these small problems, and everyone gets very enamored and give their votes to them. And then they come back in power and further misguide people. So they're useless leaders from a spiritual perspective and even from a material perspective. So then who should we accept as our guru? Right, so we have to accept someone. That's very nicely explained in the Nectar of Instruction, in the 5th verse. The 3 types of devotees. So one should accept an Uttama-adhikari as one spiritual master, it is said. So yeah, we just spoke about that. We are in material consciousness, we are blind, we need to understand that we are blind, and therefore we need help. And then to take help, we need to find someone who knows the truth. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadek te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. Are you repeatedly charging it? So jnaninas tattva darshina. So one has to accept someone who has seen the truth. So a guru is someone who has understood the truth, someone who is realized in Krishna consciousness. And Rupa Goswami very nicely describes the qualities of such a devotee in the Nectar of Instruction. So he says, Krishneti yasya giritam manasa driyeta dikshashti chet pranita bhischa bhajatam isham shushrushaya bhajana vijnanam ananyam anya nindati shunya hridam ipsita sangha labdhya. That such a pure devotee, one should serve a pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So these are the signs of a very advanced devotee. So we know there's three levels of devotees. There's the Kanishta Adhikari, the Madhyam, and the Uttama Adhikari. And all three are devotees. So a devotee is someone who accepts Vishnu as, Krishna as God, right? So a Kanishta Adhikari is someone who accepts the supremacy of God. They believe in God. They even might be an initiated devotee, but they're unable to respect people or engage with them in an appropriate manner, and also they're unable to associate with devotees properly. They're unable to understand devotees, right? So such a person is they're usually more making a show of bhakti. That's a Kanishta Adhikari. And their faith is also weak. Their faith is not strong. As well as they lack shastric knowledge. So these are the signs of a Kanishta Adhikari, a beginner. And everyone has to start somewhere. There's nothing wrong in that. So I'm a Kanishta too, so you have to start somewhere. So we are accepting, Kanishta accepts, they accept mostly they're just interested in making a show of bhakti, as I said, and they don't really associate with devotees to get the association, to go further. And sometimes they actually end up criticizing devotees as well. And faith is weak, and they lack the knowledge. And Prabhupada says in the purport, in the Nectar of Instruction, that such devotees are just simply interested in deity worship, but they don't respect the devotees of the Lord. So, especially as grihasthas are so busy. They have family, children, and rightfully so, they have to take care of their wife and children. That's their prime duty. So, if a grihastha is doing deity worship, that doesn't mean he's a kanishta. If he's simply doing deity worship. Because the reality of life is we are so busy, and the focus of the grihastha is to look after their child who they brought into this world, is to make them a devotee, the first and foremost duty, right? And also for grihasthas, deity worship is recommended to come out of the bodily conception. So, but that doesn't mean they're kanishtas. So the grihasthas, they have to associate with devotees and hear from them, and also support the preaching. So if they are hearing from other devotees and supporting the preaching, then they are not kanishta adhikaris. But if their sole aim of life is just to do deity worship and not supporting the preaching and also associating with devotees, then that's the beginner stage. And then there's the Madhyam Adhikari. So in the same verse, in the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami talks about the qualities of a Madhyam Adhikari, which is from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 11.2.46. Ishvare tad adhineshu bali sheshu dvi satsucha prema maitri kripo peksha ya karoti sa madhyama. The Madhyam Adhikari is a devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Madhyam Adhikari basically accepts Krishna as God, as the highest object of love and service. They make friends with other devotees. So they make friendship amongst each other. Devotees, Madhyam Adhikaris, Uttama Adhikaris. They show compassion. They show mercy to those who are less advanced than themselves. So non-devotees as well as other devotees. And they avoid the blasphemers. So they avoid those who are envious of the Lord. So these are the signs of a Madhyam Adhikari. And so Madhyam Adhikari's Shastric knowledge might be weak, but they have very strong faith in the unwavering service of the Lord. So Madhyam Adhikari has strong faith, but their knowledge might not be Shastric knowledge might not be very strong. But their faith is extremely strong. So this is a Madhyam Adhikari, and Prabhupada wants all of us to at least come to this platform, the Madhyam Adhikari. So Madhyam Adhikari has a spiritual master, and they try to follow the instructions of the Guru. That's a Madhyam Adhikari. So whatever instruction the Guru has given them, very specific or broad, they try to follow that and try to implement that. As well as in the best of their capacity, they try to preach to other people. If they can't preach, then support the preaching. Because everyone can't do it because of circumstances, or lack of ability, or inclination. So one then has to support the preaching. One has to support the temple. To run any endeavor requires resources, right? So to run a temple requires a lot of resources, and it's the duty of the Grihastha community to support the worship of the Lord, and to support the spreading of the holy names of the Lord. So there's so many projects running, right? They all have to be supported. So it's not just simply building our own crumbling empire, which will crumble in due course of time, but is to by supporting the movement of Mahaprabhu, then then that is to our credit. So that's what a Madhyam Adhikari does. So they share Krishna consciousness with others. They avoid the blasphemers. So there are many people who are very envious of the Lord and devotees. And to refute them requires a lot of expertise. Like if you come across a hardcore atheist sometimes, it's not every devotee can refute them. You have to be a special kind of devotee to speak in their way. So and there's some people who just can't understand. They're very offensive. To such people, one avoids them and shows them mercy by giving them kirtan and prasadam. So kirtan and prasadam is everyone can be shown mercy in that way through by listening to kirtan on the streets or some program or just unconsciously hearing something, and by having a prasadam. Everyone likes prasadam. Even the best atheist loves prasadam. I'm sure you all have heard of stories where someone has no interest, but they say, okay, whatever you're doing, there, your food is good. And there's so many people who come here also just for the food, just for the prasadam. Like one time I met someone speaking with him here. He said, I don't believe in God. I don't accept whatever you say. I'm not interested. Leave me alone, but I like your food. I said, yeah, that's very nice. Keep coming for the food. There's 3 times a day. You can eat as much as you want. So by eating prasadam, they are slowly getting purified. So in that way, devotees show their mercy to the envious as well. And then devotees try to serve Krishna in whatever way possible as the object of love, by chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 regular principles, and by doing some service. So, and then the Uttama Adhikari is someone who is basically free from the propensity to criticize. So the propensity to blaspheme is very strong in all of us, fault finding. So a pure devotee, an Uttama Adhikari, they are devoid of that propensity to find fault in others. So that's their strength. To find fault is a weakness, which we all have. So they don't criticize anyone. They're simply engaged in serving Krishna and spreading his glories. Their heart is free, cleansed from any material contamination. So they're free from the 3 modes of nature. They don't have any dirt in their heart. They've been purified by the process of bhakti. And they're always thinking of spreading Krishna consciousness to the world and making lots of devotees. So these are the signs of an Uttama Adhikari. So we can see Prabhupada, he was free from the propensity of criticizing others. It might look like Prabhupada is criticizing people, but that is his finding their faults. As a guru, he has to speak heavily. He has to speak heavily to remove the ignorance in the heart. So Prabhupada would speak very sharp words, but he would not find faults just to put someone down, to feel good about oneself. Prabhupada never did that. Whatever criticisms he had of people was to correct them, to bring them to the path of bhakti. Not to think of oneself as superior to them. So that's what it means. And they're always thinking of spreading Krishna consciousness to the world. So here, in the Nectar of Instruction, in the purport, Prabhupada says, about an Uttama Adhikari. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttama Adhikari Vaishnava can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. So that is a practical sign or symptom of an Uttama Adhikari. So an Uttama Adhikari is always thinking how to bring people to the lotus feet of the Lord all over the world. That is their main concern, because that is the concern of Krishna also. That's why Krishna comes to this world. Yada yada hi dharmasya, right? Krishna comes every now and then, all the time, to deliver the people from the ignorance of Maya, right? So, and then the devotee, an Uttama Adhikari, is also engaging in the mission of the Lord. They're engaging in the mission of the Lord, and they're trying to make many devotees, many people into devotees. And the success of such a devotee is they're able to convert many non-devotees into devotees. So we can see, like, in the Dyumna Maharaj, there's how many thousands of devotees he's made. Prabhupada, we can see he came in such a short time, he made thousands of devotees, opened hundreds of temples, wrote so many books. And even today, by his preaching, so many people are becoming devotees simply by reading his book. That is an Uttama Adhikari. They're not here with us physically, but simply by reading his books, we all are becoming devotees, or becoming serious in Krishna consciousness. So when we take shelter of such a devotee, then we are led correctly, as this verse is saying. Then the strong bonds, the strong cords of fruitive labor, of material nature, become cut. So we are bound by these ropes. So if you're bound by a strong rope, if it's a weak rope, you could maybe use your strength to break it. But if the ropes are very strong, no matter how much strength you have, you can't break it if it's made of the steel. So you need someone to free you who is themselves free. If the other person is also bound, how can they free you? It's not possible. So the other person has to be free, and they need to know how to untangle those cords. So a spiritual master is free from Maya. They're fixed in Krishna consciousness, and they're able to untangle these cords and make us devotees. So do you have any questions or comments on what we spoke today? Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Talking about atheists and discussions with atheists on this topic. So just share a small experience here. For a person relatively nothing who, the question, we're not atheistic, but we are more agnostic, you could say.
Uh-huh.
So they ask the question, have you seen God? So why are you so, why are you trying to follow this process with so much faith? But you haven't seen God. Right? So where's the proof that you see? So the only answer I told you was that, because you haven't seen God, I haven't seen God either. But the lives of seers in the recent past is the real proof that God exists. The way divinity is unfolded in their lives. The lives of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
All the Lord has come every way to show the right direction and transform so many people.
Yes. Yeah.
Transform so many people who had no clue
Yeah.
of spirituality.
Yeah.
So that is really the proof that is the proof that I'm banking on.
Yeah. Yes.
That God really exists. So that's sure. This is the conversation I had recently.
Yeah. 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 People say, "Have you seen God?" No, we can't see Him. Have you seen the wind? Have you seen air? No, you can perceive it. Have you seen the mind? No, you can perceive the mind. Have you seen your intelligence? No, you can perceive it. You can. Similarly, have you seen the soul? No, it's present from its symptoms. Have you seen God? Yes, you can perceive the presence of God as well in the holy names. So then, if they chant, if they follow the process, then they can also perceive God. There's so many things they also can't see, but they can perceive, right? So it's a very flawed argument they make. Thank you. And just to add to your point, yeah.
Even in science, there's a hypothesis. You put the hypothesis to test for experiments, and the result comes. And then you corroborate the hypothesis and whatever you possibly.
Yeah, Krishna also gives that in the Bhagavad Gita.
Similarly, in the spiritual path, the equivalent of experiment is your sadhana.
Yes.
The stronger your sadhana,
Correct.
the more favorable the result will be.
Correct.
The difference between an experimental approach and an experiential approach is transformation.
Yes.
And if it works, and whatever effort you're putting in your sadhana, in the material way of life, only you're contributing. Whereas here, there's another contributor.
Correct. Yeah.
Equally.
Yes. Yes.
That is missing.
That is missing, yeah. Thank you. Some very good points. Thank you. Yes, Prabhuji.
If somebody is blind by Hare Krishna, if somebody is blind by this conception of material life, so how he can trust somebody else? Like, really, he knows that this person is not blind and he can help me.
Okay, so if someone is blind, how do they know that the person they're accepting is not blind? Huh? Yeah. Really good question. How can a blind man know I'm accepting the right person as my leader? Well, by hearing what they have to say, and also by having some basic understanding. Like Prabhupada says, if you want to know what gold is, you need to understand, right? So if you want to buy gold, you need to have some basic knowledge of what gold is. And even to get that basic knowledge, you have to first be educated, right? So it's simply by hearing. So if the blind person is fortunate, if it's their good fortune, they will come across devotees and they will hear from devotees. And if they have some shraddha in their heart, then they will be able to accept. They will be able to accept what that devotee is saying, and they will be able to accept. They'll see they'll see the merit in what they're saying, and they can see, okay, I need to accept Krishna as my goal in life. So yeah, comes by some good fortune, which is a result of past shraddha, coming in association with devotees, hearing from them, and then being able to accept their guidance. Yeah. You have a question? No? Okay. Anything else? Yes, Prabhuji.
Sometimes they give the analogy of the teacher, the student does the homework and arithmetic, and then the teacher like there's an analogy of the teacher correcting that they give a student their homework like arithmetic, and then 1 and 1 equals 2, and 2 and 2 equals 5 or something, and give a tick on the correct one, a cross on the incorrect one. That way they're learning, and the teacher is supposed to inspire the children to learn and be nice to them, and when they make mistakes, they say, no, that one's wrong and this one's right. So it's the idea of correcting people rather than just criticizing them and putting them down.
Yeah.
There's the analogy of the teacher,
Yes. Of a guru as a teacher?
Yeah, the guru is a teacher, and he's correcting you with your mistakes, and he's not just criticizing you.
Correct, exactly. So a guru is teaching you. It's like if you have a trainer or a coach, they will also positively reinforce you. So they'll see, okay, where you're doing wrong, and then they will teach you, no, you need to do this, this and that. So yes, they will find your faults, they'll observe you, find some faults in you, and then they'll give you the correct advice. So that's, pretty much, that's the job of a guru as well, a guru can criticize his disciple, find the faults, but at the same time, the guru gives us knowledge. It shows us the way and also the practical implementation of that knowledge. So we can see, like, without Prabhupada, if we were to approach the Vedic text, we would be totally blind and be totally misguided. So in every field, one needs a guru. right? So even in people think in spirituality, I don't need a guru. I can figure it out on my own. But in everything else in life, they have a guru. So coming to Krishna consciousness, we also need a guru, and our Prabhupada is our, is our Acharya. Then we also have gurus, a Diksha, Shiksha guru, who guide us practically, who instruct us, right? Who make that formal connection, and then who also instruct us in the process of Krishna consciousness. And they give that Shiksha of how to practically implement the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. And as you exactly explained, Prabhuji. So, guiding. Thank you. Any final question before we end here? No?
Just the nectar of instruction is, some people say that's sort of teaching for more neophyte people, and they have to focus on giving up the bad things such as fault finding and so forth, and the guru is on the big high platform of teaching people. So they emphasize that at the end of nectar instruction, you have to give up fault finding, and that's what you think.
So what's the question?
Is that really for teaching people on neophyte platform? Sometimes people say nectar instruction is sort of learning at the beginning stages, and you have to give up this fault-finding mentality, sort of.
No, nectar of instruction takes one from Shraddha to Prem. So it starts with a person, like Prabhupada said, distribute this book on the streets. And if you read some of the final verses of nectar of instruction, it's talking about like Krishna Prem, Radha Kund, right? Very highly advanced topics. Radharani, right? So all this is there in the nectar of instruction. It's not for, it's for neophytes, yes, but it's also for advanced devotees. And Prabhupada's books are such that anyone can tap into them, and anyone can get something out of it. So Śrīmad Bhāgavatam actually, as said in the beginning, is a literature for the Paramahamsas, right? But at the same time, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is also recommended for the staunch materialist, because the Bhāgavatam is so powerful that even a materialist who hears it correctly in the parampara, and who hears, when I say correctly, meaning going through all the cantos, not just jumping to the 10th canto, Rasa Lila, hearing from a devotee, coming in the disciplic succession, systematically hearing, then the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam can purify even the most gross materialist and give them Krishna Prem. So same with the nectar of instruction. Nectar of instruction is written by Rupa Goswami, who is a pure devotee, right? So these verses are non-different from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and they take one from Shraddha to Prem. And that's the expertise of Prabhupada, how he can write in such a way that he can, it's like a one-stop shop. And you go to Myers or David Jones, you can get almost anything there. It's one shop, you get everything. They have different budgets also, so in one store you can get, for someone maybe just wants a basic jacket or a very expensive jacket, they can get everything. In the same way, you read Srila Prabhupada's books, the gross materialists can relate to it in Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports, as well as the Uttamadhikari will also relish these books. So these books are not just for beginning devotees. And Prabhupada said that Prabhupada himself read his books. And Prabhupada said, these books were dictated to me by Krishna. I didn't write them. Krishna wrote them. And as an author, he was reading his own books. So generally authors don't read their own books. They might read it to proofread it or for editing time, but not after that, right? He was reading it even other times. He asked his disciples to read from it. So these books are non-different from Krishna. They are the book Bhagavat, and by associating with them, actually even in every purport, if you read carefully, Prabhupada talks about everything. It just puts it in such a way, expertise, that a beginner can get something out of it, and then an advanced devotee will see the higher rungs of bhakti all mentioned there. So everything is in Nectar of Instruction. Radha Kund is there, Sham Kund is there. There's nothing higher than that.
Yeah. So where I said that Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaja, Prabhupada disciple and Nishnahang Guri once, I personally heard him saying that Rupa Goswami wrote Nectar of Instruction for the Yovanas and lectures, like that. He wrote, that's what he said. Anyway.
Mm.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Yes.
Dira Jana Priyo Priyo.
Yes, yeah. So the Acharyas have written these books for us. But even the advanced devotees relish in them at the same time. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yujita Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Chakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Svam Sajivam Shadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanitanscha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Jaya जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद